fantastic. No, this is good. All right. We'll begin the tonight's selectmen's meeting for Tuesday, January 9th, 2024, and calling to order 6 o'clock at night. And we'll begin with the reading of a couple of warrants that we have. Justin, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So before you, you have a few warrants. Warrant 2413 dated December 28th, 2023. You'll see a total on the payroll side of things of $819,394. You will see our streak has ended, and there is the appearance of overtime for snow. So we had a good run. Congratulations. On the bills payable side of things, it totals at about $1.6 million. Just a quick breakdown of expenses on the DPW side of things, some connection and backflow device testing, and other items totaling at about $20,000. On the IT side of things, just under $70,000 for quarter one Danvers IT services. As you may recall, we're part of the North Shore IT Collaborative, which really came in handy during our cyber incident. And then also some expenses still relating to the post-op of that cyber incident, just to make sure we're being thorough. And then health insurance premiums in the amount of $146,000 on the treasurer side of things, and that ties up that warrant. Would you like to handle them one at a time, or?
No, you can do
Well, we can do both.
Okay. Additionally, you'll see warrant number 2414 dated January 11th, 2024. On the payroll side of things, $842,127. Once again, a little overtime for some snow. On the bills payable side of things, $506,000 and some change. A couple items, attorney fees, paying them out. Some of the Mansfield Fund checks are continuing to roll out, or vouchers, I should say. So you'll see that go through. On the fire side of things, just some additional equipment and the purchase of radios, combined totaling at about $32,000. $280,000 for the purchase of power through MELD, and then a smaller amount towards the bottom there in terms of veterans aid, just under $2,000. We will note that there were two WEX bills that you may see appear on here. The reason for that is one was issued, the check was lost, canceled, and then reissued. So that money will come back through to us. Additionally, on the facilities project side of things, FP 31, you'll see a smaller amount coming through than what we had seen most previously in the amount of $5,647. A big thank you to our OPM for following up with us and providing a little additional further background on that. So PCA 360 makes up some of that. They're doing a little bit of investigation for existing conditions on the northeast corner of the site where they found some pooling and ponding of water. So they just wanted to identify what that issue may be and figure out how an existing manhole structure is configured. And then Turva, who is a commissioning agent for the town, we had referenced in the last meeting, they're a third-party independent contractor that does the functional testings of our systems. They're continuing to review those designs before it goes out to bid. So it's just a small fee on the FP 31.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion?
I do not.
I'll move to accept as presented warrants 2413, 2414, and Facilities Project 31.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed? Carries unanimously. We have a number of minutes to accept from 5 different dates here. Is it okay if we just get a motion to include them all? Have any questions on any?
I'll move to approve the November 14th, 2023, November 28th, 2023, and December 5th, 2023, December 19, 2023, and December 19, 2023. That last one is executive session minutes. The other is open.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Carries unanimously. Okay, so the next we'll have acceptance for some donations here. Always with much thanks, and those are to, let's see, $500 to the Middleton Food Pantry from George Dow. Thank you very much, George. $1,000 to the food pantry from the Torres Family Charitable Trust. Thanks there. And $500 also to the Middleton Food Pantry from Gary Salachi Jr. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I move to accept those donations.
Second?
All, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, next, if we can get Justin with his town administrator updates and reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few notes around town. A big thank you to our Public Works team for their hard work in response to Sunday storm. As referenced by Superintendent Goodwin, we have a lot of new members on our staff, and they are learning very quickly, so thank you for their efforts. Also, thank you to our more senior members of the team that are helping coach some of those younger members. And also, of course, thank you to Superintendent Goodwin for his continued leadership. All in all, they had a very strong response to the storm. It's never perfect. There's always a couple streets the next morning, so we have to, send the crews home sometimes. But they really did an excellent job. So thank you. Reminder to Middleton residents, this is actually in response to a question that arose at the last meeting, but as a reminder, officially, please be noticed that the winter on-street parking ban will be in effect December 1st, 2023 through April 1st, 2024. And as part of that, which apologize as I read verbatim for you. No person shall park a vehicle on any public street from midnight until 6 a.m. from December 1st through April 1st. Any vehicle found parked in violation of the provisions of this section may be fined and/or moved under the direction of an officer and at the expense of the owner to a place where parking is permitted. So thank you for your cooperation there. Last week, we met with the contractor for the municipal complex project on site with members of the school department just to talk about that temporary parking plan for the spring semester upcoming. Of course, it was the one day of the year where it's been 50 all year and it was 30 degrees out and windy. So that was nice, but I appreciate their continued cooperation and, of course, the contractor for helping make our lives easy there. They could have been more difficult about it, frankly, and they've been very helpful. So thank you. Our team has been meeting with department heads over the past 2 weeks to review departmental budgets. We're going through line by line, which has really been informative for me, so I appreciate that, just helping me get a more up-close view of some of the more granular details of our budget. So that's been a great process, and thank you to Sarah and Jackie for their help with that as well. The building committee met last night to finalize some of the last and final remaining aspects of the design. They're at a full 90% design at this point. We did go through with the OPM and identify a couple areas. I guess the best way to describe it is that as the design documents firm up and we hit 90%, there are some elements that the cost estimators couldn't really estimate because it wasn't fully in the plan yet. So like, wood trim and finishing and things like that really help them narrow down on the overall figure of the project. So we've given them a firm directive that the amount of money we have is the amount of money we have, period. And going back is not an option. So we did go through and identify some areas just to get ahead of potential scope creep or, reduce some areas in terms of finishes where we felt it was a little bit too rich. And so all in all, we're walking the line between making sure it's a nice quality finished product, but it's not, so much that we can't justify it to our taxpayers. So they've been doing an excellent job weeding through that, and I'm happy to report. Upon that review, we are just a hair under budget. And the message that I've communicated to our team is that it's important to stay on budget primarily, but also a reminder that we had made a commitment that we would do our best to not have to borrow as much as we got approval for in the fall. So that's our goal as well, is to stay on budget, but to try to get under as much as we possibly can. So that's ongoing. I met with the Library Board of Trustees last night, and I'll keep providing that report. I'm going to visit with them monthly and help, work alongside them to help better serve the people of Middleton and the patrons of the library. So I appreciate their hospitality as they continue to invite me, and it's been productive. So thank you for all their hard work. A note from our clerk's office, early voting is set to take place again this year and will run from February 24th through March 1st, and it will take place in Memorial Hall. I met with legal counsel today to continue conversations regarding the B development, just picking up where we left in the last meeting in terms of the development agreement. So we're starting to put some of the preliminary guardrails in place for that conversation, and we'll be reaching out to Mr. Onyem and his team, and hopefully bring a finalized document forward at an upcoming meeting sometime in February is the goal at this point, at least for a first pass of draft.
Say the 4th? I'm sorry, February?
At some point in February, but we haven't nailed
The
it.
voting itself,
On
early voting, I'm sorry.
Oh, my apologies. February 24th
24th.
through March 1st.
Thank you.
Yes. And then our team met with our planning, DPW, zoning, and conservation team members today to discuss ongoing stormwater issues throughout town. I just want to make sure any residents watching at home know that we haven't forgotten them, and we're continuing to explore that. The next step is identifying a third-party engineer to review the plans that we have already peer-reviewed, because we just want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence there.
Now, with the snow cap, we have the heavy rains we're expecting. Did anybody check to see if the snow has hindered the performance of the system by clogging something or blocking something?
Excellent question. So as part of that meeting today, the intent of the meeting is to look at the current situation in the longer view a little bit. But also it was convenient because we knew that storm is going to be hitting. It actually started raining as I walked in. And so in response to that, Mr. Goodwin did reach out to the developer and ask that they send a representative. And the developer confirmed that he would do so, to send a representative to the site, just to look at existing conditions, make sure all drainage is unblocked and uncovered in case, snow banks or something piled up against it, just to make sure that it's going to perform as strongly as it's able to throughout this upcoming weather event tonight. So we're keeping an eye on it, and we'll see how it goes. And that's everything for the update.
Thank you, Joe.
When you were talking about, your budget meetings, the Masco superintendent should be presenting his budget to the school committee next Wednesday.
Perfect. Thank you. And I will note, we did receive an early draft budget from the good folks at the CPA, so thank you for that as well.
Good. Thank you, Justin. All right. Now's the point of the night where we ask for any public comment. Don't see anyone present, but we'll take whatever input you have, because we know you're watching closely the goings-on at 48 South Main Street. Okay, so then, with no further ado, let's go straight to department head update from our very own Jackie Bresnahan on Human Resources, our Assistant Town Administrator, Jackie Bresnahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. We knew this agenda. We didn't have any other department heads coming in, so I asked Justin for an opportunity to give you an update on the human resources function, particularly as I've spent a good portion of the second half of 2023 working on HR more diligently, because, as the board will recall, I was a little bit tied up with other obligations this spring. But HR is still going strong. There was a lot going on behind the scenes in the early part of 2023, and then more still in 2024 to come. So a couple of updates for you tonight on the human resource function that I'm happy to provide. The first is a thank you. We reconstituted the town's wellness committee in 2023, and I want to thank our staff persons that have been joining me in that pursuit. Christy Bialecki from the fire department, Loretta Johnson from the library, Kate Davies from the assessing office, Heather Flynn from the Fuller Meadow nursing staff, and my partner in crime when it comes to all things wellness and benefits, Madison Alley, our assistant treasurer collector. That group of people has been giving me support and guidance as we plan our different staff development and training activities and wellness programming. So I want to thank them for their time as part of their roles to help me with that. In 2023, we offered a wide variety of staff development and training, things such as managing the multi-generational workforce, helping to prevent anger management issues when tempers flare, building cohesion on our teams, practicing mindfulness. And this Friday, we do have another offering on the continuous growth mindset, so very exciting training. We also did some locally focused trainings. We did a training in August with all of our payroll staff, any department heads, admin assistants who handle payroll were invited. We also did a Budget 101 training this year. Last year, we just opened that up to new department heads, but this year, I want to thank Sarah Wood, our finance director, for co-presenting that training with me. We had, I think, 20-plus department heads, deputies, and assistants take that Budget 101 training, which was fantastic. We also welcomed one of our providers to come in. Actually, a couple of our providers, we did training in January on retirement planning. That's an important topic for municipal employees. So we had folks come in to do that retirement planning training. We had over 20 employees participate, and we're looking to run that program again this winter as well. We also had folks from Maya, our health insurance provider, come in and present to employees on all of the programming that they do and discounts that are available to our employees that are on our health insurance plan. Make sure our employees are really getting their bang for their buck. So we appreciate those providers for coming in and helping us. This year, coming down the pipeline, we are going to have a training on how our pension system works. We have a lot of employees that have worked in municipal government their whole career, but we also have a lot of new employees that have never worked in public sector before. It's a really important factor. Our pensions are one of the better benefits that we have as municipal employees, other than the fact that we get to work with all of you. But a lot of folks don't understand our pension. It's very confusing. So we want to make sure our employees have that financial literacy of how that works. We've also got some trainings coming up on compassion fatigue, emotional intelligence, phone etiquette, and as I said, we're going to run the training again on retirement planning. We also provided training for the department heads on personnel evaluations, and we offered a wonderful program to the DPW in December on nutrition for long snow plowing nights, which they got to put into practice this weekend.
Right.
We also had a training on the ergonomics for snow plowing, about getting in and out of the bigger vehicles, those long nights where they're in the plows. And all of these programs are free for the town. They're free for the employees, as they're part of both our general liability and our health insurance providers program offerings, because they obviously want to help us with employee prevention and education. So these are all things that are at no cost. They're just a part of our deals that we get for health and general liability. So thanks to the Wellness Committee for helping me get all of those organized, and they helped me recruit. That group also has been helping me with our offerings for our wellness classes, which we've been offering. We actually have a new class starting next Thursday for the employees that want to participate. We have a bar Pilates class. We've offered yoga. We've offered Pilates in the past. That's also free as part of our Maya programming. And then we also, with the Wellness Committee, have been doing wellness calendars, which we're going to be doing from now on. We did May and October and now January, and those are going to be the months that we do going forward, where every day there's an activity to choose from, a couple of different health options for employees to choose from, and the building team that gets the most people to participate for the most days gets a prize. So it's just a way to encourage people to build healthy habits and kind of make a fun competition between the buildings. So that's the Wellness Committee. That's the fun side of HR that we don't get to talk about very much, but it's definitely enjoyable. In other HR news, as the board knows, but for the benefit of the public, we did settle 3 of our collective bargaining agreements this year: fire, public works, and administrative assistants. Been working on the police union agreement for a good portion of this year, working really diligently with those folks, and I really appreciate their time and dedication in getting that work done. Also at the table with the call firefighters on a couple of operational items. Their financial package was sorted, as the board will recall, last summer. But with a new head of that call firefighter union, our new Chief Lacoste, we negotiated with that group right before Chief Martinock retired, so we just had a couple operational items that we knew would come back around, so we're sorting those out. We implemented the first year of the merit pay program this year, which I think went really well. We'll be putting in a supplemental request to the board and to the FinCom again for that program for this coming fiscal year. I am currently engaged with the Collins Center on a refresh for our comp and class, just to ensure we're maintaining competitiveness with our non-union salary schedule. Both the DPW and admin assistant unions saw some salary work done by consultants as part of their negotiations. But the market has been really volatile from a labor perspective, so we just want to ensure that we're remaining competitive. That non-union work also includes classifying some positions that we neglected to classify when we did that work 2 years ago. Debbie, I think you saw most of the tail end of that, but I do want to thank the board because we really spent a lot of time getting that right, and I think that system's worked really well. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're keeping that work up to date. So we have a couple positions that we're going to be classifying ahead of this fiscal 25 budget cycle. For this year, I've started to work with Assistant Treasurer Collector Madison Alley on our handbook update, and we'll be working with a working group of employees to get their feedback on that. But we want to just ensure that from a legal perspective, from a workplace perspective, from a trend perspective, that our employee handbook is remaining up to date with both programs that incentivize people to want to work for us and to stay our employees, but also ensure that we're protecting the town with certain policies. So that handbook will be coming in front of you hopefully soon. We're preparing for the 2024 Benefits Fair. That's another program that I want to thank Madison and our treasurer, Nick Federico, for really spearheading. We brought back the Benefits Fair in 2023 in April. So we're going to be hosting that again this coming April in 2024 for open enrollment for all the employees. And then, as I had mentioned, working with police and the call firefighters. So we're doing pretty well. It's been a busy year in HR. It's been a fun year, but that's the update I have for you tonight.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you for a nice overview on that. Yeah, I was going to ask about the handbook, but you got that.
About the what?
The handbook.
Oh, yeah.
That was coming along.
It's really exciting. It's really exciting legal work. But I think we'll have it to you soon.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Jackie.
Thank you.
Let's see here. All right, so, next on the agenda is the Locust Street appraisal, funding approved from the annual town meeting of 2023.
Thank you, Mr.
Justin,
Chair.
please, yes.
And I just quickly would like to commend Jackie on all her human resources related work. She really does an excellent job, and she's a tremendous resource for the town and the employees, so thank you.
Yep, agree.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
On the Locust Street side of things, at the direction of your team, we've been working to try to identify a qualified appraiser to go through and take a hard look at the Locust Street parcel. That is something that as a community you've been talking about for some time. It recently regained a little bit of life as we are looking at the municipal complex and trying to find ways to offset some of that cost. And so the sale of surplus property, the Locust Street parcel in particular, was identified as an opportunity to defray some of that cost to help us from having to pass it on to the taxpayers. The struggle with that parcel is it is a large piece of vacant land, and as I'm sure Debbie could attest to, the folks that do this type of work are a dying breed. They have retired at a rapid rate, and it is really a specialized type of work. So I was very happy to put this together and to be able to announce that we did secure the services of Minco Corp. And I've had a lot of back and forth with John McCarthy, who's the senior vice president over there. They have an extensive background in doing this type of work. They've gone through thousands of large-scale commercial appraisals in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And so this is right in their wheelhouse. And I think for the folks watching at home, the important component of this is if the town is going to dispose of this piece of land, you want to make sure that you're getting the absolute top dollar that you can get for this parcel of land. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you find somebody that is extraordinarily qualified to do this specialized type of work. So included in your packet, you will find the proposal from Minco. I am also happy to report that we negotiated down to a contract value of $4,000, which easily fits within the established budget for your initiative to surplus some of these properties. Yes.
I think the parcels that are part of the work are too extensive. For instance, parcel 27X has a conservation restriction, so it's not going to be sold for development.
Right.
So that shouldn't be a part of the parcels that he's evaluating.
Sure. So what I'll do is I'll ask him to carve that out, I think mostly just for the sensitivity of that parcel, because I don't want people to be under the impression that there's gonna be an effort to try to, like, sell that or develop it. But to stress, if you take a look at the proposal itself, he does highlight and call out specifically that it's 40 acres of land, but 20 acres usable based on the area. And so when he's saying that, he's referencing 27Z, which is the buildable piece, but it is confusing with the highlighted conservation piece. So we'll have him pull that before we sign on, just so it's abundantly clear.
Can I just add something to that? In some cases, when it comes up to the development part of it, when we get ready for the RFP, what some developers need to do, they may need to access that parcel, even though it's conservation. No, we're not going to put a structure on it. We're not going to put a septic on it. But in some cases, they may need that to incorporate into the larger parcel to get whatever development they're looking to build there. So if they need to do a retention pond, a detention pond, whatever. So I think the way John has this cited out, that there's only 27 acres of upland. That's all there is out of the 40. So that's already identified right there, which will be part of the RFP. But there is potential for the other surrounding lots. That's how I interpreted his quote, if you will.
Sure, thank you. And I agree with that. So I'm gonna follow up with him though, just to make sure that, because I don't want, it was a concern that I had, is that folks would see this and be nervous that there was an attempted move to try to sell and develop a piece of conservation land, which for anybody watching at home, it is perfectly
Not-
safe. Are there any other thoughts about the proposal though beyond that?
Just small, I don't know, when it says the fee, provided the fee is for the market value, the estimate, and then it says court, testimony, preparation time, or travel. Is that traveling would be, relative to court time, or
Yeah,
is that in addition to the 4,000?
so we can have him specify that,
That's all.
but it is,
That's-
it's specifically.
I would imagine so, but it just
Additional,
looked
yeah, if they had to like drive into Boston or something.
ambiguous. So-
Typically, it's above the scope of the appraisal.
Yeah.
So if he had to put in any kind of testimony or travel here or there for a court case for us to represent, then it would be additional. But it's usually just in the scope of the appraisal.
Thanks.
Sure. And so with that said, the expenditure of funds set aside for this do require a vote from the board. It was part of the, I believe it was an authorizing vote.
So for him to come up with a value, basically he would have to look at the land and make some assumptions and, decisions as to what he thinks the number of lots, residential, single-family lots could be obtained in that parcel. And based on that number, you can get a value.
Correct, yeah.
So that's how I'm thinking, so I'm just want to be sure that that's kind of the process that you have talked to him about.
Yep, so he'd be looking into the highest and best use for the property. And then I think a further conversation down the road amongst this board, and as we get into the RFP process, is how much, I'm trying to think of the best way to word it, but if there are a range of ways to approach this, it could either be on one end saying whatever the highest number is, we don't care what they do with it, whatever the highest dollar is we can get for it, that's what we want. Or you can say, we're willing to take a little bit less if you meet certain criteria, or if you can, confirm that you wouldn't do this type of activity, or you'd build this far back from the road, something along those lines. So I think that's partly a further conversation. In terms of their methods, I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think Debbie, being a career assessor, which is not quite an appraiser, but directly adjacent. I don't know if you
done
have.
appraisals.
Yeah, okay, there we go. So Might be a good
Excuse
resource
me.
if you want to weigh in on it as well.
Nope, that's exactly it. I mean, it's a matter of determining what the highest and best use is for the property and what that highest and best use will yield for market value. And that's long and short. The
And
RFP,
in
we can put
looking at highest
stipulations.
and best use, you look at current zoning because you can't assume a variance.
That's right.
So, and the zoning is single-family homes. Okay.
So I'll take, all right. If there's no further discussion, I'll take a motion to make that expenditure.
So I'll move to approve the $4,000 in funding for the Locust Street appraisal.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, now, we have a vote to take to update all Select Board rules, regulations, and policies regarding gender-neutral language within the town code. Is this in addition to what we already did, or did, I thought we did this.
So you did, sort of. So Town Clerk Twist had come forward, I guess with some follow-up items. She'd come forward to our office just asking that you go through and do this vote, I think, to kind of cross some Ts and dot some Is. Jackie did prepare a memo. I don't know if you,
I did see that, yeah.
So the vote that we took, oh, I'm all set, thank you. The vote that the town took at the June 2021 town meeting updated the general bylaws with this gender-neutral language. It did not do the zoning bylaws or any other parts of the code. So, for example, the types of documents we're talking about is any rule or regulation of this board, a policy you set, any document, like, so when we update fees, we send a memo from our office the next day to the town clerk to add that fee schedule to the code. Anything like that. Obviously, fees are a bad example because they don't often have a lot of pronouns because it's numbers, but any document that comes out of this body that a resident, like, should have the ability to look up because it, you know, a fee, a policy, like a liquor policy even, all of this would be encompassed by this vote so that our town code is updated in a complete manner.
Understood.
And just to echo Justin's, this was brought to us by the town clerk's office, and we do thank them. It's a lot of work keeping the code up to date with all the different boards and committees that have rules and regs, the bylaw work. So this is an important part of keeping that code as up to date as possible for the website.
So I'll move that we amend all of our rules, regulations, and policies to change all gender-specific pronouns to gender-neutral pronouns in a manner consistent with the example provided in the warrant for the annual town meeting in 2021.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All right, now no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, pass unanimously. All right, and the next item will be to review the intermunicipal agreement between the towns of Boxford, Topsfield, and Middleton for the Public Health Excellence Grant. I'm not sure who, Jackie, I don't know if you might have that, or...
Want me to speak to it?
yes, thank you.
Okay. So the Public Health Excellence Grant, as the board will recall, and I've outlined in a brief memo that's in your packet for tonight, we embarked on this with the towns of Topsfield and Boxford a few years ago. At this point, it looks like all three communities want to move forward with Middleton taking the lead this year. It is a little bit complicated because the grant cycle runs on a calendar year basis, opposite of our normal fiscal year cycle. But we just wanted to provide the board with a copy of the template of what we're going to be working off of. We do have a meeting this week on Wednesday afternoon with our counterparts for Boxford and Topsfield respectively. And then I will be having a meeting on Thursday morning with the health director here in Middleton and the health agent and health director from Topsfield and Boxford respectively. So ideally, we're going to have the municipal finance processes for how this transfer is going to worked out in this week, and that's the only reason why the template is a template tonight, because there will be some additional provisions because of this cycle in the middle of the grant, this change in the middle of the grant cycle. But it is a big change for us as a municipality, and we just want to be sure the board is fully supportive of this change before we make it. So at this point, our health director, Tracy Mello, is welcome to the change, and we already are hosting the shared inspector in our Board of Health office. So we would basically then add the shared nursing staff and any other future positions to our Middleton roster, and then receive the payment from the state and as well as some administrative costs to help support the extra duties that we would be performing with payroll and accounts payable for these employees. But we would own them. We would have an agreement where Topsfield and Boxford are responsive for their respective thirds. But once this grant, which we expect to have a 7 to 10 year lifespan, is gone, we would own these employees with the other two communities. So that's, I just want to make sure that we're abundantly clear that we've already taken on our third for when the grant cycle is over, but now they would be Middleton employees for the duration rather than Topsfield employees.
Right. Good. Thank you very much. Any
Thank you.
questions on that?
No.
I do not.
Thank you, Jackie. All right. And now we have, number 7 is going to be a declaration of surplus items from the Department of Public Works. I think,
Yep, thank you,
Got that,
Mr. Chair. Ken Gibbons over at the DPW has provided a list to us of items to be auctioned. You'll see before you in your packet 10 different items. It's my understanding, the past practice, these need to be voted on to dispose of them. Jackie's been coordinating that effort on her end. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add.
Nothing other than that ideally we're going to be putting these out on municipal for disposal.
Are items 6 and 7 the same?
The 1995 stainless P8 sander, there are 2 of them.
Okay.
They're both, that should be 1995 as well for item number 7.
Say it's a very old stainless P8 sander.
Yeah, from the year 1995.
The year 995.
Before
that's
stainless
the
was
answer.
invented.
Yeah, I'll
Got
say-
our money's worth out
Oh,
of
yeah.
that one.
before we
bet.
were sanding things, I would imagine. Yeah, I think that's just a typo. I think it should read in 1995.
Right. So there's 2 of them, not the same one listed twice.
We'll double check and confirm, just in case.
need to get a shed done quick for the rail trail so we could, we would have access to something like this if I had a place in the rail trail, storage for that.
You
or would
wanted to
that-
buy one of these things?
Yeah.
Yes,
We'd
anyone.
be allowed to, is what I'm saying.
I mean, they will
Yes,
go
you
on
can.
municipal bid. I don't know the few, these are our surplus items. Some of them may only be as good as scrap metal, though.
Oh, okay, they're that far
Like-
gone. Okay, just curious.
Yeah, I think the newest item on here is the Ford Explorer that came off the road last spring, if the board will recall. The transmission fell out.
Yeah.
So, but before our public works staff give up items, they really work them
Yeah,
into,
I was just curious.
yeah.
Right.
All right, so I move to declare as surplus the items on the schedule as part of our packet.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. All right, and now we can talk about opening the warrant for the annual town meeting for this May 14th, for May 14th, 2024? Mm-hmm. Thank you. There.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we did provide at your last meeting and also in this packet, the fiscal '25 operating and capital budgeting that the warrant be open for the annual town meeting to take place on May 14th, 2024, not 2023. And as part of that, we will be bringing forward at a future meeting a draft as items kind of trickle in. It'll include your usual and customary articles that you see year over year, but also there's a few others floating around. Potentially, if we hit the timelines, the MBTA zoning piece and things like that. So as those pictures become clearer, we'll make sure we bring it forward and go through the proper processes to discuss it as a community well in advance of the meeting in May.
Well, I'll move to open the warrant for the annual town meeting in May of '24.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Passed unanimously. And on the, on those, on our little to that, it's
Correct.
good. Good. Okay. We'll move on to number 9, which is an update on the Scout barn cabin down the end of
So we,
Gerald Road.
yep, so we did, Tim Hooton, thank you. Tim Hooton was going to join us this evening, but we're very far ahead of schedule, so I'm wondering if maybe,
He's asked to be moved, he's not gonna physically be able to make it till 7:30.
Yeah.
And given it's 6:41, he's, asked, I said, do you want us to wait, or do you wanna move? And he asked to be moved to the 23rd.
perfect. So if you just want to pass over for now or table it.
That's fine. All right, so, very good. So then we have anybody have any updates or announcements for this evening? No. Nothing? Good. I think, yeah, it looked like they did a good job staying at it, removing the snow, looking at it. I know they had, like you said, we had some new operators, and so I know we had 1 or 2 filling in for longtime operators too, but, all indications are that went well, so, thank you for that. If there's nothing else,
Let's adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Holy mackerel.
Good night, everybody.